guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nai Nicole and I am the host of the podcast One Strong Hand. Thank you for coming back and for, getting a nice little message in today. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of your mental health as much as you can and indulging in self-care as much as you can, however that means to you, whether that be snuggling in bed with some snacks, whether that be going to therapy, whether that be exercising, whatever the case may be. Ensure that you are taking care of yourself and your mental health. So those of you who are new to the channel, my podcast, One Strong Hand, is about resilience, self-care, self-development, and also disability advocacy. For those of you who have watched the previous episodes or listened to previous episodes and podcasts, I was born with a radio club hand, which is 4 fingers. There are folks that have like radio club feet, so that's 4 toes. So it's really just about not only engaging in self-care and self-development, but really highlighting disabilities and what that means to have a disability in the world that we live in and how we operate, how we do everyday life, how we work, how we take care of our family, other things. So it's really important to really tap into other people and learning about other people, make yourself more aware of the world around you. And so, so that's kind of the little intro, but today I wanted to talk about energy being currency. And I wrote down a little script over here. As I've said in previous episodes, I typically like to write and script because it keeps me on track because I have a very imaginative brain and it just moves all over the place. And so sometimes it's best to make sure I have a script right in front of me. So I wanted to, of course, like I said, get back into this topic of energy is currency. And, energy is very powerful, but oftentimes we think of energy or currency as being like money, right? And so when you are exchanging energy, you have to be very mindful about where you're placing your energy, what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're intaking, either gossiping, like people that you're around that, talk about other folks, whatever the case may be. That really does have an effect even on your own personal life. And so it's just being very careful about where your currency is going and where you're putting your currency. How are you depositing? How are you withdrawing your currency? And it's also just about the physical, mental, spiritual part of energy being currency, your physical currency. Are you inputting, exercising daily? Are you moving around? Like, how are you implementing energy as currency in all facets of your life? And so money is something that we exchange. Energy works the same way. Every action, decision, or interaction, it requires us to spend a little bit of energy. So in your day-to-day life, whether it's at work, whether it's at home with your family, with your spouse, whoever it is, it really does require a level of energy. And you also have to remember that you have to put the energy back into yourself. You have to make sure that you are depositing this energy into your bank account, into your energy bank account. You need to make sure that you have some of that currency saved for yourself, because you can burn out and you can overdo it sometimes, whether it's, with whatever it is in your day-to-day life. You want to make sure that you have some currency left to yourself, and making sure that whether that's getting out of bed, showing up for work, or even scrolling through your phone, all of it has a cost. And if you're not spending it wisely, it does have an effect. There's needs that need to be met, and that requires some of your energy. Yes, there is a budget, and when we overspend, we definitely feel it. So just like I said before, making sure that you are not overspending yourself. Making sure that you have a budget. You're like, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this, or I'm going to spend 10 minutes with this person, or I'm going to spend 10 minutes talking. You want to make sure that you are not overspending and don't go into negative because that has a huge effect. Really just about making sure that you can start to see where your withdrawals and your deposits happen, and take note of that. And so when you are withdrawing your energy, take note of where you're withdrawing your energy and how you can deposit more energy back. And so let's say if you're in an exhausting conversation with somebody, which, it happens. Some people love to talk and others love to listen, and that's okay. But let's say in this conversation, this person is, talking about someone, or just kind of being messy, quote unquote. And so if you're having a conversation with someone and they're endlessly talking about other people or other people's lives, whatever the case may be, that can be exhausting, because it's like, I don't have time to engage in what other people are doing, especially when it's, none of my business. And so I think in those instances, it's like, okay, so how do you pull back your energy after you've just spent your energy with something that wasn't necessarily worth your time per se? And so it's very important to really gauge where you are withdrawing and depositing your energy. And as someone with a disability, and of course, I'm sure most people can relate to this, but speaking from personal experience, as someone who has a disability, I have to be very mindful about where I place my energy, where I'm withdrawing, and then how I'm depositing. And so it's not an option for me. It's a survival tactic, because I don't want to spend too much time doing something that maybe my body, my physical self can't take. How are some ways that I can bounce back and deposit more of that energy back? And so I do, methods of like yoga and meditating and praying and spending time alone, putting my phone on D&D. Like that is ways, or those are ways that I deposit my energy, because I want to make sure that I bring some of that energy back to me and not burn out. A withdrawal, some instances of withdrawal might be handling conflict, working long hours, or pushing through when you're exhausted. And so that's a withdrawal. That's a withdrawal of your energy. And so when you are working through these things, how are you able to deposit some of that energy back? And so a deposit could be things like rest, movement, laughter, being around people who leave you feeling lighter. The idea isn't that one is good and one is bad, right? We need both. We need both. We need withdrawals and deposits, because sometimes you do have to put into energy for certain things, and it can exhaust you with certain, whether it be like entrepreneurship. It's very exhausting trying to, manage websites, or talk to customers, or handle payments. Like that's a lot of energy that you are withdrawing in your day-to-day life. You want to make sure that with every withdrawal that you have some form of depositing. So if you are handling a conflict with your partner, with your friend, coworker, whoever it may be, how are you depositing that energy back into yourself at the end of the day? Are you meditating? Are you reading a book? Are you doing breathing exercises to kind of decompress some of that energy that you spent during the day? Just think about those moments of, energy is currency. Just like, if you've gone out and maybe you didn't really have the capacity to enjoy it because you didn't have enough money during those times. Kind of the same thing when it comes to energy. You have to be really mindful of that. If you are spending some time with someone that maybe you just don't have the energy for at the moment, that's okay to say, hey, I don't have the energy to hang out right now. I really don't, because I don't have the capacity to enjoy myself. Just also listening to your body. That's most important, because I think sometimes we try to ignore what our body wants to do. And I feel like we try to do like temporary enjoyments, but it has a long lasting effect if you're not listening to what your body wants to do in those moments. The idea really becomes clear in relationships when it comes to energy exchange in relationships. Some people naturally feel like an energy deposit. They leave you inspired, calm, or motivated. Others might feel like an energy withdrawal, leaving you tense and depleted. And so kind of going back to what I was saying, when you're hanging out with certain people or spending time with certain people, some people, if we're being honest, let's all be honest here, some people can feel like an energy drainage. And I'm sure you can attest to this. There are some people in your life that you can spend only a minimal amount of time with, because they can be an energy drainer, or as some people like to call it, an energy vampire. And some, other people in your life, that you can, have like a beautiful light energy when you are with them. But also be mindful about your energy too, and how you affect people, because you could be the energy vampire and may not fully recognize it, or may not fully understand it. And so, just like we have people in our lives that are either energy vampires or energy lighters, quote unquote, if you will, Also, be mindful of your energy too and how you show up in the world. I'm not saying that you need to change yourself, for anyone, or minimize yourself however you are, but just be mindful about the type of energy that you are also bringing to other people's lives. Practical ways to track your energy budget. So how do you treat energy like currency in a practical way? And that's very important. So just making sure that you're auditing your day. Notice what activities leave you energized versus drained. Set limits. If something constantly costs you more energy than you can afford, then adjust how often you engage with it. And so again, going back to learning how to balance that energy. So if there's something in your life that is constantly draining your energy, take note of that. Take note of those activities that you are doing on a day-to-day basis, whether that be watching too many movies, watching too much Netflix, doing something that, and not to say that you can't enjoy your time, but you also want to be conducive of your time too, in certain moments. Like, it's okay to have a balance. Balance is great. There's moments where I just want to watch YouTube and Netflix and not do absolutely a thing, but there are moments where I'm like, okay, I need a balance. So how can I be a little productive throughout my day? And so notice just certain patterns or certain activities that you do. If it feels like you're draining your energy, maybe minimize on it a little bit. Again, not to say that you can't, but it's good to just have a balance and invest wisely. Spend time with activities that give you long-term returns like rest, exercise, or creative outlets. So I've been really incorporating more walks in my day. I have a nice little treadmill, and it also has a table on top of the treadmill. So I put my laptop on it. I'm walking at a nice little pace. So that brings me energy, and I'm investing in myself wisely, not withdrawing, but I'm depositing some energy back into myself in a physical way. Just making sure that you have those long-term returns on yourself, return on investment. So protect deposits. So again, talking about your depositing, prioritize the people and habits that fulfill your account. So some closing thoughts about energy as currency is when we begin to see energy as currency, we stop treating exhaustion as the default. Instead, we approach our lives with more intention. Just as we budget money to support what we value, we can budget energy to support the life we want to create. And before I leave you on that note, I do want to go ahead and read our little affirmation card of the day. Some of you have noticed at the end of my videos, I love pulling a card just to kind of show what the energy is and the affirmation is, so you can take that with you for the rest of your day. Please write down in the comments how you have been maximizing your deposits with your energy being currency, how you are minimizing your withdrawals, or if you have withdrawals, whether that be conflicts, whatever it is in your life that is a withdrawal, how are you depositing that energy back into yourself? Today's card is embracing change. So I welcome change with open arms and see it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. I adapt easily to new situations and trust that change leads me to greater possibilities. So that is the beautiful card of the day, embracing change. I hope that resonates with you. That is your affirmation card of the day. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.